Good morning. This is the graded activity number 5. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaime Coello, and I'm going to work with the topic, identify the language assessment principle that an assessment instrument applied. My name is Jaime Mauricio Ulloa, and this is my homework. The 5 principles of language assessment. Well, as a teacher, we have the work to prepare the test for our students in the end of the month. This is the system in Ecuador. In the end of the month, we have to evaluate the progress of the students in the class. Our work as a teacher is check that the test we are going to use for the students is good for the students, is efficient for the students. We have to prepare that in the way that we can obtain the results from the students with an important objectives, like the test must be reliable to measuring the progress of the student. The test has to be direct. We can take just question randomly, hoping that the test is full with 10 questions. No, the test has to take just the necessary information from the students. It must focus on measuring a specific skill. We have to concentrate in which skill we are going to evaluate in the student with the assessment. For example, if I am working with speaking, the assessment have to be about speaking. The students speaking, the process of the students learning speaking abilities. If I'm going to take the test about grammar, the test just to concentrate in grammar, just in grammar. They don't have to be mixed with vocabularies and readings, no, just grammar. We are going to test the skill in effective way. It must have a question that the student will use in daily life. The test has to be effective in the way that the student is going to earn a skill that he can use in the future for other ways to communicate with other persons. And it has to be the necessary information to a student can resolve the test. The test has to be clear, has to be easy to understand, and has to use all the knowledge that the students have retained during the year. For this test, we are going to follow the 5 principles of assessment. That is practicality. The test has to be practical, no difficult to use, to apply. The money has to be the correct use, and the space, the moment have to have comfort for the student. Reliability. The test has to be reliable. If I'm going to take a student to use a test, the test has to be easy to the students to do the first time, and other time I use that test again, the students has to be the same result. Validity. The students have to use the test, and the test has to be validity for him. If I'm going to take a test about knowledge, the test has to evaluate that knowledge in the right measure. Authenticity. The test has to be useful for the students in a future situations in the daily life. And watching. The process of the teacher teaching the subject and the students understanding that has to be reciprocal, and the student has to earn many abilities during this process. Well, the teacher already present us this assessment for the example. A high school biology teacher frequently reads aloud a prepared biology related statement. In the book, the teacher is going to read an statement. Well, then he asks the students to hold their hands under their chins and see whether the statement is true or false, showing the thumbs up or the thumbs down, up for true and down for false. The teacher tried to the students to use the signals to answer, not the voice. Well, depending on the number of students who respond incorrectly, if the students doing this are more than doing this, for example, red means azul, okay? And depending on that, the teacher is going to form groups for debate these answers and find the correct answer using that kind of conversation between students. Well, if the teacher sees that this concept is not useful, he can decide to change and present other different representation or instructional approach. Well, if I analyze this example, I can find that it has 3/5 in the 5 principal assessment. In practicality, the test is practical because we don't spend money, we don't spend too much time, and it's easy, it's fast to do this. In reliability, the test is not too much reliable because the problem is that the topic changes in every class, and the students, if we evaluate the students this fast every day, the test is not reliable because the next week we are going to change the topic and the test is not going to be so useful. Validity. If we are going to talk about grades, notes, the test is not useful because it's just evaluate the moment. It's not a final assessment. The assessment has to evaluate all the process of the students, not just the daily process. In the daily process is other term. Authenticity. These tests help the students to have a proper criteria about a subject and motivate the students to argue with other students when he is not in accord with that answer. In the daily life, we have to learn how to debate with other person when we are not accord with the same topic. And watching, the test does offer a positive effect. The teacher interact with the students in a positive way, playing, and the students learn, cap all the information because he have fun, and pay more attention for the signals and the voice of the teacher. Red, yellow, the student, yes, no. So the students is going to be concentrate and animate. And as a teacher, we have to remember that the students have to be motivated to the class be useful. Well, examples about what helped me to understand what the teachers do during the teaching process and how it differs with the assessment. When we are teaching something to the students, we are preparing the student for the process to capture all the information. So if I'm going to talk about simple presents, I teach the students the structure of the simple present, example of sentence in simple presents, and many problems that we can find in the simple present, like third person, like negative, like auxiliaries, like modal verbs, and things like that. In the end of the process, I show the students with all the information how they have to do a sentence in simple present. In the end of the month, we are going to have the evaluation, the assessment. In the assessment, I'm going to measure how much the students understood about my topic, how much memorized, and how much is impregnated in their brain. In the assessment, I'm going to evaluate the process. It's not a reforce, it's an evaluation. In the assessment, I want to know how much my students has progressed and how much my students has not progressed. If my students progress in the correct way, I can continue to the next topic. If my students didn't progress, I have to go back a little and reinforce again to can continue in normally way. The difference in these two processes that teachings is the preparation and assessment is the final test, is the showing of the results. And as a teacher, we are hoping that the results are very good. This is my reference and thank you very much for your attention. I am Jaime Coello. Have a good day.